We'll get to the roughing the passers. But even the Tyron Smith hold on the Braylon Allen touchdown or the Spencer Brown unnecessary roughness, those were not clear and obvious penalties. They did not need to call those.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Power Rankings Tuesday, presented, of course, by DraftKings. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years, long time ago now at this point, but thank goodness, because number one, it was a dream come true, and number two, it allowed my second dream come true to happen, which is I get to talk about football for a living, get to call games. I'll have a doubleheader this weekend, Wake Forest, UConn, Saturday, CBS Sports Network, Sunday night. How about the Jets at the Steelers for Westwood One? Really looking forward to both of those. Love those of you that engage with us on social media in any way. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. If you make any type of comment or repost or whatever, you get a great chance to win one of these awesome press passes I've got sitting around for you guys. Sponsor confirmation email winner. That means you take advantage of any of the sponsors you hear on the show, like westshorehome.com/Ross. Even if you get a free estimate, send it to me, Ross at RossTucker.com. And then the YouTube shout out is very cool, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Just make a comment. Love those of you that rate and review the show as well. That counts as either spreading the word or a sponsor confirmation email winner. Tuesdays are simple. I give you my thoughts on last night's game, and then we get into my power rankings, every single team in the NFL, where I think they stack up right now, including your team. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
All right, Ross. The Bills, they win an exciting Monday Night Football battle, but it was marred by penalties, 23-20, beating the Jets.
Right, and so I'm going to start with the officiating, Jack, because I think, unfortunately, it was the biggest story of the game, and I might as well just make it my Labatt take of the night, Labatt take of the week, I should say, since I was having a Labatt Blue and the Bills were involved. Presented by Labatt Blue Light, the pristine Canadian Pilsner. Enjoy your beers together so you can live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. I'm not one of those people that just rips the refs all the time. I don't believe in that. So I'll do a positive, a negative, and an area for improvement. Positive, I think that the officials were consistent. They were equally overly officious for both teams. I don't think one team got the edge of the other, so that's a positive. Number two, the criticism. The officials are told clear and obvious, not to throw the flag unless it's clear and obvious. We'll get to the roughing the passers. But even the Tyron Smith hold on the Braylon Allen touchdown or the Spencer Brown unnecessary roughness, those were not clear and obvious penalties. They did not need to call those. And then finally, the roughing the passer, even Aaron Rodgers said after the game, he didn't think they should be called. This is where we need replay assist. This is where they should easily be able to review the video and say, no, we shouldn't have called that. I get the officials throwing it in real time. They've been told when in doubt to throw the flag in terms of protecting quarterbacks. Okay. The replay assist can easily say, nope, Josh Allen was acting on the second one, and the first one, Epinesa was trying to rip the ball out. Boom, easy, done. As for the rest of the game, Jack, it was an awesome game. You know, it was a huge game, and you could tell by the way the teams were playing that it was a huge game, and it meant a lot. It basically, look, I know it's early, but it felt like it was the Jets' chance to stay in it in the division, right? Because now they're down a couple games, and now they have a head-to-head loss. That will be tough. You know, the Jets marched on their first drive, but then there was a drop, and they had to settle for a field goal, which was really probably the theme of the game. Other than the officials, I would say the theme of the game was the Jets settling for field goals when the Bills get touchdowns. You know, the Bills ran the ball right down the Jets' throat on their first drive for a touchdown. So right there, right? 7-3 Bills because they score a touchdown. Jets settle for field goal. By the way, no James Cook. It's a nice draft pick by the Bills getting Ray Davis as the backup running back. He did a nice job. Rookie backup running back out of Kentucky by way of Vanderbilt. Kudos to him. The Jets' offensive line, it's not good enough. You know? I mean, they run a flea flicker. Rodgers gets smoked. Tyron Smith gets totally dusted, and Rodgers gets crushed in the back. Morgan Moses with the pre-snap penalty. I would say they need more out of those guys. I thought Rodgers played very, very well. They need more out of those guys up front. More Jets penalties, especially pass interference penalties, which are, in large part were good calls. Those guys are too handsy. They're too aggressive. That's like 10 pass interference penalties the last 2 weeks. Josh Allen, the end of the first half, fumbles. They recover it, and then he has an incredible Josh Allen type play. It's unbelievable that Aaron Rodgers threw a fourth Hail Mary touchdown the end of the first half. This one to Allen Lazard. They still lost the game. You get a Hail Mary touchdown and you still lose a game. That is a bad look. You know, we talked about the questionable calls on both teams. Very, very unfortunate. The win must have been a bugger because Zerline missed a couple chip shot field goals. Tyler Bass missed a field goal and an extra point. There was a bunch of doinks. Over 200 yards in penalties. Brutal. And then late in the game, Taylor Rapp made a huge play for the Bills. And I loved the third down play call by the Bills and Joe Brady late for Josh Allen to run for the game-clinching first down. Rough interception late from Rodgers. I know he was trying to make a play, but they had plenty of time. He did not need to throw that up for that. Another uncharacteristic interception for Rodgers. I love football. I love tailgating. I love that you guys get to tailgate a lot more than I do with Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. It's an experience that is best enjoyed together. How about this? Smirnoff is giving fans in select areas of the country a chance to win the ultimate game day experience. Tickets, sideline passes, much more. Head to WeDoGameDays.com until November 15th. WeDoGameDays.com. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age. No purchase necessary. 21 plus. Ends 11/15/24. See rules at website for participating area and other important details. Sponsored by Diageo Americas Incorporated, New York, New York. Don't miss the new Hulu original drama La Maquina, starring Diego Luna, Gael Garcia Bernal, and Asa Gonzalez. La Maquina is the first Spanish-language original series from Hulu. In their long-awaited on-screen reunion, Gael and Diego play lifelong friends, one a boxer and the other his crafty manager, making one last attempt at glory in the ring. But to make it to fight night, they must confront a mysterious underworld organization raising the stakes to life or death. All episodes of La Maquina are streaming now on Hulu.
It's time for the all-important Power Rankings. The worst team in the history of the NFL is...
All right, Ross, we're going to get into our power rankings here. 32nd, New England Patriots.
Well, the positive is obviously Drake May throwing the 3 touchdown passes and looking like he did some really good things. By the way, programming note, Ryan Fitzpatrick will be on tomorrow's show, and I'm going to ask him about Drake May and kind of what he saw. And actually, I'm going to ask him about like his philosophy on rookie quarterbacks playing in general. But I'm glad Drake May's playing. He should be playing. I know they're not great around him, but throwing the 3 touchdown passes showed that he's ready to play, and that at least makes the Patriots watchable and makes their fans, gives them some hope and feels like they have something to build on.
31st is the Cleveland Browns.
As for giving your fans some hope and something to build on, the Browns are not really doing that right now. It's ugly. It's ugly in Cleveland. You know, Kevin Stefanski said that Deshaun Watson gives them their best chance to win. My question for Kevin would be, well, how do you know that if you haven't given Jameis Winston a chance, right? Like if you gave Jameis Winston a chance, then you would know if Deshaun Watson gives you the best chance to win. My guess is either that Stefanski has to play Deshaun Watson because of ownership or because of his contract situation, feels like he has to play Deshaun Watson. Or at least is going to continue to stick with him as long as it's... I will say this, I thought he played better in the second half than the first half last week against the Eagles.
30th is the Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins had a bye, right? They had a bye. So they had a win the week before. Mike McDaniel says that Tua Tagovailoa will play again this year. Not this week. He's still on IR, but this year. I don't know when that will be, but obviously I don't feel great about that. It's his decision, and I support his decision as long as he talked to all the right people about it. That's another thing I'll ask Fitzpatrick about tomorrow, by the way. Good timing for Ryan Fitzpatrick to be our guest tomorrow.
29th is the Tennessee Titans.
Another interesting quarterback situation here because the receivers are getting frustrated, and the Titans really want to make sure they know what they have in Will Levis. And so they're going to let this ride out as long as they feasibly can, which I think, you know, when you invest these high draft choices or the money in Watson and Levis, you want to give it as much of a chance as you possibly can. I think the alternate thing is interesting, though, Jack, about like benching them and then bringing them back. You know, if you bench them, you can see what the other guy does and then kind of get that out of your system and then be able to bring the other guy back into the game at, you know, their second half of the year and give him that chance after you prove that the backup isn't much better, if that makes sense.
28th, Carolina Panthers.
It's kind of like where the Panthers are at. So they're giving Dalton a run. They're giving the veterans a chance to win, you know, but like after a couple more games, when they're clearly out of it, why even keep Andy Dalton in there? You know, see if sitting has helped Bryce Young, put him back out there and see if, you know, watching Andy Dalton helped him and if there's anything salvageable there with Bryce Young. I think that the Browns, Titans, and Panthers are all in somewhat similar situations. The Panthers already did their benching, but now they might be ready to go back to Bryce.
27th, Jacksonville Jaguars.
So a couple things here. Number one, they traded Roy Robertson Harris to the Seahawks for a late draft pick. How about that, man? You're in London for the week, and you get traded to Seattle. That is far, bro. That is like you're like flying back over the North Pole. That is a far flight for Roy Robertson Harris. Doug Peterson said that the Jags need a culture change. They need something. Although, isn't it remarkable that the Jags have not been good, and somehow I have them as the 27th best team? Sometimes I think if they played these other teams head to head over 5 games, that they would beat the Panthers and the Titans. I don't know. There's a bunch of. I mean, for sure, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's at least 6 like really bad teams.
26, Las Vegas Raiders.
The Raiders. Well, they've already pulled the trigger on the quarterback change, and they've gone to Aiden O'Connell. I think they'll end up going back to Minshew. I think they'll give O'Connell a few weeks here and be like, nah, you know what? He's definitely not the future. And he also doesn't give us the best chance to win. So what's the point of playing Aiden O'Connell? Let's put Minshew back in there. Unless they know Minshew gives them a better chance to win and they want to keep losing so they can get Shador Sanders. Wow. The common theme, Jack, of all these teams down here at the bottom, quarterback situations. Every one of them. Which, that's especially bad if you're the Jags and you just paid your guy.
25th, LA Rams.
So Cooper Kupp practiced yesterday. Puka Nacua still did not, but Cooper Kupp practiced yesterday. So that's a good sign that maybe he'd be available for them coming off the bye. They could really, really use that. And I would say the Raiders and or the Rams, I would say starting with the Raiders, we're in like the next tier, right? Jags and below, those are bad teams. Raiders and Rams are not good teams, I would say.
24th, Arizona Cardinals.
Same with the Cardinals. They got kind of beat up. Kaiser White, Marvin Harrison Jr. in that game. But these are teams like the Rams and Cardinals. Think about that. 24-25, they've both beaten the Niners this year. It's not a good look for the Niners.
23rd is the New York Giants.
The G-Men. It's kind of a shame that their O-line's much better, their D-line's dominant, and yet they still lack the guys at the other positions, especially with Neighbors out, to really be in the mix in terms of like a playoff race. They're just going to be, I think, respectable, aka competitive this year.
22nd is the New Orleans Saints.
Sounds like it's a couple more weeks for Spencer Rattler. Here's the deal. They play Thursday night against the Broncos. Sean Payton going back to New Orleans. And they're like Rashid Shaheed might be hurt. I mean, we'll see what the deal is with Olave. The Saints are super beat up. Bad week to have a short week.
Other team on the other side that you just mentioned, Denver Broncos, 21.
Yeah, it's the battle for number 21 in my power rankings. Really, really bad step back for the Broncos, right? They had won 3 in a row. Feeling pretty good about them. They got housed at home by the Chargers.
20th, Seahawks.
So the Seahawks, they're going in the wrong direction, right? The Broncos were going in the right direction. Seahawks very, very much over these last however many games going in the wrong direction. Mike McDowell needs to figure out a way to turn that around. And I would say, like, in particular, on the defensive side of the ball, which is supposed to be his area of expertise.
19th is the New York Jets.
This will probably never happen again. I moved them up 6 spots based on what I saw last night in a loss. So the Jets are the West Shore upgrade of the week. That's the team that makes the biggest upgrade in my power rankings. Upgrade your bathroom or entry door or windows with my friends over at West Shore Home. You get free installation for 72 months with 0% interest, plus up to $1,500 off. That is insane when you visit westshorehome.com/Ross. I know they lost. I don't care. The Jets are my biggest upgrade this week because they looked so much better. Now, as Jeff Ulbrich would say, not good enough on the defensive side of the ball. That's for sure. But I thought Aaron Rodgers played very well till the late interception. They need the O-line to play better around him. They need the defense to play better. They need the kicker to play better. But I feel good after watching that Jets game last night that they're going to be competitive and in the mix. I even think maybe for a playoff berth till the end of the year.
18th, Indianapolis Colts.
So the Colts got another win, man. They just keep rattling off these wins. Shane Steichen has said that Anthony Richardson will be playing this week. So that's going to be another situation to watch, obviously, Jack, because now you start winning a lot of games, but now you put the other quarterback back in. What happens if you start losing?
17th, Dallas Cowboys.
Feels like they're in a bad way. It feels like this season might be getting away from the Cowboys, even after giving Dak and CD those deals.
16th, the Bears.
The Bears don't look now 4-2. Now, they haven't played the toughest schedule. We said this yesterday. I don't care. Their defense is awesome, and their offense is coming around. Very good sign. I can see the Bears being a top 10 team in a couple weeks.
15th, the Chargers.
Go, Chargers, go. So that was encouraging, right? You get Rashawn Slater back to go on the road to get a big win against a divisional opponent like that. That was exactly what the Chargers needed to stay in the mix, stay above 500. That was encouraging.
14th, Pittsburgh Steelers.
By the way, San Diego Superchargers, San Diego Chargers. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. I'll be in Pittsburgh Sunday night, Acrisure Stadium. If you're driving around, make sure you listen to me on the radio call. Nice win for the Steelers. That's what they do, 4-2. That Steelers-Jets game becomes a juicy one Sunday night.
13th, Cincinnati Bengals.
I know they have only 2 wins. I don't care. Their offense has been very good, maybe except for Sunday night. And the defense looks like they're finally ready to play like they have the last few years.
12th is the Falcons.
You like that? You like that? I do like the Falcons winning a bunch of games in a row with Kirk Cousins. That's 3 wins in a row. This is the team that, honestly, they probably would have had last year if they had a guy like Kirk Cousins at quarterback.
11th is Philadelphia Eagles.
You know, they didn't move up or down after that win. They kind of are stuck in neutral, even though they got all those guys back. Nick Sirianni apologized for his behavior at the end of the game, talking with Eagles fans, talking trash, I guess, to Eagles fans. I talked about that a lot on my Ross report, which is almost daily, minute or less, talking about the Eagles, at Ross Tucker NFL on all the socials. I'm a big believer if someone apologizes, you move on, right? Like, that's all you can ask. Someone makes a mistake, they apologize. That's the right thing to do. And then the right thing to do is to accept the apology and move on.
10th is the 49ers.
Yeah, I didn't really think the Niners, I mean, I know they got that win Thursday night in Seattle. I didn't really think that they did enough to move up the power rankings because all the other teams above them won, and I thought looked good. The top 11 are the exact same, Jack. Spoiler alert.
9th, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Bucks looked awesome, especially on offense. Maybe not as good on defense, but they got a good team, man.
8th is the Green Bay Packers.
Dun, 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 dun. Go, Pack, go. Dun, 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 dun. So the Pack has their formula this year. Jordan Love lightened it up, and the defense getting turnovers.
7th, Houston Texans.
Really impressive game. They won by 20, although the defense, I don't know, that's the most points the Patriots have scored, I think, all year. Again, nobody ahead of them did anything that merited the Texans, in my mind, leaping over them.
6th is the Buffalo Bills.
Including the Bills. The Bills won the game. They did a lot of positive things, but I don't know, was it enough to leap the teams in front of them? Not really. I mean, I feel the same way about the Bills after that game as I did going into the game. I don't think they're playing great football right now. In this case, though, they played well enough to win a close game late.
5th is the Washington Commanders.
So they lost the game, but I've got the Ravens ranked even higher in my power rankings, and the Commanders went toe-to-toe with them, one-score game on the road, and showed that they weren't just beating up on bad teams.
4th is Lions.
So it's all confirmed by the... Oh, I should say this about the Commanders. This is tough for them. Jonathan Allen, their D tackle, torn pec, Jack, done for the year. That is a brutal, brutal loss for the Commanders. I mean, brutal. So anyway, not good for the Commanders at all. And you wonder how much of an impact. He's not just one of their best defensive players. He's a leader. As for the Lions, obviously, insanely good performance. Aiden Hutchinson done for the year. We'll see whether or not they can get somebody else in there. I suggested them call the Jets for Hassan Reddick.
3rd, Baltimore Ravens.
So the Ravens I know they lost those first 2 games, including a clunker to the Raiders where they kind of gave it up late. Now they're the Ravens, right? They've won 4 in a row. They've been very impressive doing it. Now I think you should be very excited about the Ravens moving forward. They feel like the team that has the best chance to beat the Chiefs this year in the playoffs, but they did last year too.
Second, Minnesota Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings. You know what that's from, right, Jack?
I know it from the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. I don't know what
Are you
it's
being sarcastic or serious?
I genuinely don't know what it's from.
Okay, after the show, Google Lizzo, Minnesota Vikings, and listen to the song where Lizzo goes, "New man on the Minnesota Vikings."
That is not how she says it at all.
Yes, it is.
I know
That's
the
like
exact
identical.
song you're talking about.
She actually uses me as the example when she sings the song now. The Minnesota Vikings. They had a bye. There's not really much to say about those guys.
And first, another team coming off a bye, Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I guess they were coming off a bye. It's interesting because I did that Monday night game, so you feel like they're not coming off a bye, but they are. Interesting that the top 2 teams, both coming off a bye. Chiefs, their last performance, they kind of got against the Saints, looked like they were getting the offense going a little bit, which is encouraging. It's also encouraging how many of you guys like to listen to the College Draft Podcast or the Fantasy Feast Podcast or Even Money. We told you this before, I'll tell you again. Every once in a while, you're going to see some of those other shows pop up in the Ross Tucker Football Podcast feed because we're proud of them and we want you to check them out. Even if you're not huge into fantasy or huge into college football or huge into betting, I'm telling you, you would enjoy it. It's still me, it's still your boy Ross, talking to other people and talking about football in a different way. Even Money Betting Podcast is today. Tomorrow, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Cool. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. Nothing I like more than you guys telling your loved ones how you feel about them, someone special in your life, and me sending you a signed autograph. myfrontpagestory.com. myfrontpagestory.com. Backofficescheduler.com. humanheadnyc.com. Sporticulture.